Look at this. Yes!
Territories Wild with Tom Miranda is presented by Matthews Archery.
There's a good reason why I haven't taken a black wildebeest in all my trips to Africa. It's because they're tough, and they're not an easy bow hunt. It's a hunt that requires travel to a specific area of southern Africa and concentrating a week to spotting and stalking the cunning and very spooky beasts. And yes, of course, they're also ugly. Well, at least to some, but beauty is always in the eyes of the beholder. Having spotted a small group of beasts working up a ridgeline, I put my guide Dylan Love on the camera and quickly set up in the brush, hoping they would walk by. As luck would have it, I spotted the beasts coming through the tall grass, and with no way to tell my new cameraman sitting 15 feet behind me, I drew my bow. I'm Tom Miranda, and these wildebeests are as sharp as a tack.
Lying along the parallel of 30 degrees south latitude, the Great Karoo is unlike any semi-arid desert on the planet. Searing hot in the summer and frigid in the winter, settlers who came to the southern tip of Africa looked at this wasteland as an impenetrable barrier into Africa's interior. Considered a frightening place by these early settlers, the Karoo was abundant with wildlife. Springbok and wildebeest were found in herds and migrated across this vast expanse, making the Karoo of interest to meat hunters. The Karoo was settled in the early 1800s, and water wells allowed ranching of livestock. The fences stopped the migrations, and market hunting decimated the game. However, today, modern conservation has brought the animal populations back, and the area now enjoys sound game management and abundant wildlife. Adventure bow hunter Tom Miranda has traveled to the Karoo region in the eastern Cape of South Africa to hunt the white-tailed gnu, the unique and high-strung cousin to the blue wildebeest. Tom is hunting with guide and professional hunter Dylan Love of Huntershill Safaris, and the team is en route to the hunting concession.
Well, Tom, on behalf of Greg and I, thank you so much for joining us at Huntershill. It's one of 4 hunting lodges that we've got. Cherokee, one of your old hunting grounds, and we've got Comray, Rocklands, and then of course Huntershill. Huntershill was founded in 2003, and we're home to 72 different species. And one of the unique things that I love about Huntershill is the different environments. You can 1 minute be in wide open plains or the savannas or in the thick bushveld, and it's really, really unique. And we're very fortunate to have good relationships with neighboring farmers where we can utilize their lands. And we specialize in the East Cape species like East Cape bushbuck, East Cape kudu, and various other things. So
I'm watching a herd of Kalahari oryx down here. You know, this is my 51st trip to Africa, if you can imagine. 51 trips across the Atlantic Ocean into the southern hemisphere to the dark continent. But I love it. I love everything about it. I love the people. I love the animals. I love the terrain. And each part of South Africa is different. You can be up in the north where my bow camp is, for example, and it's always pretty hot. It's sandy. It's just a different type of habitat compared to when you get down in the Cape, where you've got more intense farming and you've got more open plains and different species of animals. Every animal that you try to stalk, or every animal that comes into the blind, is something new and different. It's Like the very first trip I came to Africa years and years ago, it's like Christmas shopping. When you're here, you just don't know what you're gonna get.
The white-tailed gnu, also known as the black wildebeest, is native to southern Africa. Living in arid plains and the Karoo scrublands, black wildebeest were plentiful until the end of the 19th century, when they were nearly hunted to extinction. With fewer than 600 animals remaining, the population was captured to private land, where landowners in South Africa and Namibia brought their numbers back. Today, more than 18,000 black wildebeest roam southern Africa. Matthews Territories Wild with Tom Miranda is presented by Bill Jordan's Realtree, family, friends, and the outdoors. Hex Stealth Screen. Yes, it really works. Superslam.org, home of the amazing Super Slam Big Game Raffle. Rage, leading the evolution in lethal technology. Whitetailslam.com. Register free and go for the slam. And by Matthews, elevating the archery experience. Wildebeest and hartebeest are unique ungulates which roam the African veld. The blue and black wildebeest are unique in and among themselves, the blue being a bold and tough animal preferring bush veld habitat, while the black a skittish and high-strung creature preferring savanna. The blue wildebeest is known as the poor man's Cape buffalo, as they're very tough and require spot-on shot placement. The black wildebeest is known as the clown of the veld. The red hartebeests sport a red coat, and its horns form a heart shape when you look at a mature male head-on from the front. Liechtenstein's hartebeest also sports a red coat, yet their horn configuration is different, with horns more spread and tips pointing rearward. Liechtenstein are found in Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Mozambique near the Zambezi River.
Well, here's my cabin at Huntershill Safaris. Got my hex on, and of course my camouflage, my Realtree Max 1. I'm gonna take a few practice shots, which I try to do every morning. They've been really kind here to give me a target right outside my room, so I've got a great place to shoot. It's always nice to have that confidence when you can shoot, right there before you go out. We're after black wildebeest, and beautiful place here, but it is wide open. And I decided not to try to hunt out of a blind. We're gonna try to spot and stalk. And the trick to it, I think, is to just be patient and not try to rush it. And hopefully an opportunity will come our way. I'm shooting a new Matthews V3 bow. Beautiful bow, 75-pound draw. Hits real hard. Doesn't have any wall in the back. When you go back to full draw, you're locked in. There's no valley in the back. I'm actually shooting a Sherlock sight on this trip because I'm thinking of longer shots. Also, my bee stinger stabilizer and drop away rest. Very nice bow, very forgiving bow, very easy to shoot.
The main lodge at Huntershill Safaris is located an hour's drive west-northwest of Queenstown, South Africa. Comprising 55,000 acres, the concession is the home to 72 different animal species, specializing in the Cape species of kudu, eland, bushbok, grijsbok, and black wildebeest. Huntershill attracts many visitors who prefer flying into Cape Town with a short flight up the coast to New London.
Anytime you're spotting and stalking, you've got to look at the whole picture and you got to break it down. You got to see what you've got to work with, where the good places to hide and move are, and when those animals start to get close to those places, you need to be there so that if they do make a mistake and just get 60 yards from a bush, you can make the shot. A lot of times for me, it's better to get into a position where these animals can walk into me rather than me try to wait for one to bed down and try to stalk into range. All of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I spot movement, and there's several wildebeest coming over the little rise in this tall grass. And I cranked a full draw. And I'm thinking that I'm gonna have to hold it for maybe a few seconds or a minute for him to get out in front of me. I didn't want him to see me draw, because they'll see you draw. And I'm at full draw, and then all of a sudden he just looks over here. I don't know what he saw, but I was already at full draw. And he just turns and just walks away from me. I tried to lean around maybe for a quarter away shot, but I didn't have it. That close, that close.
Located on Africa's southern coast, some 200 miles east of Cape Town, is the Blombos Cave, where an ancient drawing was unearthed in 2011 that is estimated to be some 73,000 years old. Abstract cave drawings in Europe have been dated to just over 40,000 years, which would predate this artifact as the oldest modern human drawing ever found. Researchers have also found spear points, bone tools, engravings, and beads made from seashells inside the cave. You're watching Territories Wild with Tom Miranda, Black Beast.
Okay, man. I appreciate it very much. At dark, somewhere right around here, okay? Yeah. Be up about dark. Thanks a million. See you later. All right, get settled in here. You know, coming to Africa is just so fun, and it's exciting when you're going after an animal that you've never hunted before in a place you've really never been. Huntershill Safari is just really, really a nice place, and great accommodations and food, and just beautiful, beautiful scenery, lots of animals. You know, you get out of hunting what you put into it, and the reality is if you just go to Africa and get in a blind and hunt over a water hole, it's not going to be near as exciting as if you don't get out in the countryside with your guide and climb up in some of these mountains and look around. And you can also find really unique places in some of these cliffs, places that where prehistoric man once lived. And maybe this area wasn't a real good place to live, it was more of a ceremonial area. Or maybe they'd come to the top of the mountain and they'd draw their figures and they'd praise to a higher being, whatever that was to them. Now, to me, this is what hunting is all about. It's meeting new people, going to new places, interacting with the animals, and that's why I bow hunt. You know, it's the bow hunting that gets you in the most intimate position with animals.
In the rock cliffs and caves above the Huntershill Lodge, cave drawings and petroglyphs illustrate the fascinating prehistory of the Karoo. Africa boasts the earliest recorded fossils of human evolution, and most scientists in the field agree that the earliest humans migrated out of Africa into Europe about 2 million years ago.
The black wildebeest really likes wide open spaces, and so in this scenario, we're going to be lucky if we can get one to come in to the trees or one to come by a bush. My only goal is that if I can spot some moving at a distance, that I can move into position and hide in the shadows beside a bush or something, and they can walk into range. This is a perfect situation because we've got black wildebeest coming this way. There's a place they can water down here, and they may be moving to that. We're going to try to intercept them before they get here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go down and we're going to stay low in the lowest places we can, in the shadows if we can, and we're going to move down in where there's a couple of trails that come together by some bushes, and we're going to set up there. They aren't going to come by us here. We're going to have to go down there.
The spooky black wildebeest are difficult to stalk, and Miranda knows he'll need to catch a lone bull or small group moving within bow range of brushy cover. 1552, the Dutch East India Company settled on the shores of Table Bay near the southern tip of the African continent. Here, Cape Town was built to resupply ships that traveled from Amsterdam to India and points east, then returning via the Cape. Cape Castle was built from 1666 to 1679 to protect Cape Town and Dutch East India Company assets. The fortress housed a church, bakery, workshops, living quarters, a mercantile business, and a jail. Cape Castle still stands today as the oldest existing colonial building in South Africa. Matthew's Territories Wild with Tom Miranda is presented by Bill Jordan's Realtree, Family, Friends, and the Outdoors, Superslam.org, home of the amazing Superslam Big Game Raffle, IQ Bow Sight, shoot longer distances and tighter groups, Carbon Express, shoot better, Tom Miranda's Bow Hunting Camps, Hunt with Tom, and by Matthews, elevating the archery experience. On the move to a better position, adventure bow hunter Tom Miranda uses the terrain to his advantage. With black wildebeest moving toward water, the plan is to intercept them in a pinch point where the rocky hills meet the open plains of the Karoo scrublands.
We've got to use the terrain to our advantage, so we need the animal in a specific place or moving to a specific place, and that's the key for me, is I want to have an animal that's moving to my position. If you're going to try to sneak in on an animal, you need them bedded, you need them behind a rock, you need them in some place that no matter what you do, or if the sun pops out or anything that can happen, that he can't see you, that his eyes are always covered. Maybe it's only by a tree when you're getting into that last little stalk. Just warming up, heat of the day. We have quite a ways to go to get into position. I've got this bush right here, it's real thick. And there's a slot out here. These animals are behind and they're gonna come out right here, right here. I have a 60-yard pin on my bow for this trip. I hope not to use it. I hope to get closer. It's gonna be that much more exciting. But likely it's gonna be 60 yards when the animals are gonna be in position. These black wildebeest in particular, they don't like to get into the trees too much, so they're gonna kind of stay away from the trees. And their maybe cushion might be 60 or 80 yards from the trees. So if we're in the trees, we're gonna probably have a distant shot like that.
Attempting to duck the arrow at the last instant, Miranda's shot hits high. As he knocks another arrow, the bull frantically spins and kicks.
When the black beast appeared, he was on the move. I knew the yardage and the shot would be a poke. I led him slightly, but just before the arrow hits, the bull reflexes in an attempt to duck the arrow, as if he heard it coming or saw a glimpse of it. The arrow hits high, and amazingly, the beast spins and bucks, giving me time to re-knock and get off a second arrow. The bull turns slightly into the second shot, and the broadhead enters in front of the shoulder and up through the neck. Now this is a killing shot with a Rage 2-blade Extreme, and the bull begins to buck again. But before I can get another arrow reloaded, he starts to walk off. Embedded under a tree where I watched him for quite a while and eventually snuck up and shot him again. Check this out. Oh, look at this thing. Look at that. Wow. A very difficult bow hunt when you're on the ground eye to eye. We spotted these, there's actually 4 of them, moving through the tall grass. We stayed as much in the shade as possible between trees until we could get in position. This one steps out. It's walking away, no real way to stop them. They're so high-strung animal. You make a noise, they're gonna stop, face you, maybe just run. So I took a shot at him while he was moving. Look at this tuft on the muzzle, nice long tuft. And look at the bosses, real nice bosses. Totally different horn configuration than the blue wildebeest. The blue wildebeest is more like a Cape buffalo. We've got the bosses and then the horn comes straight out and curves around, where these go out the front and straight up. I mean, look at that. Just incredible. This is called the white-tail gnu. The white bearded gnu is the famous migrating wildebeest that crossed the Serengeti. These particular ones populated southern Africa back in the 1800s, and the settlers came in and they wanted to have livestock, sheep and cattle, and they started shooting these because they were breaking fences and eating a lot of the natural grasses. And a couple of farmers in South Africa decided to put a conservation model together and fence in a few of these and try to bring some of these animals back. And today there's over 18,000 of these white-tail gnus, or black wildebeest, in South Africa. It's a conservation success story. I just love bow hunting, and this is why. What a fantastic black wildebeest.